Quebec's next government will be chosen in 39 days. That clock controls 127 ridings, 8 years of majority rule, and an economy facing 50% U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, with jobs in manufacturing and aluminum on the line and healthcare, cost of living, and language protection pressing at home. Will the 10:30 a.m. signature in Quebec City lock October 5 as voting day and force a campaign where the popular vote frontrunner holds just 7 seats? The legal trigger is a walk across Quebec City. After a final cabinet meeting at 10 a.m., the premier meets the lieutenant governor around 10:30 a.m. to advise dissolution of the 43rd legislature. Around 11 a.m. a news conference follows where the decree is signed and writs go to returning officers for all 127 ridings where 64 seats make a majority. Once those writs are signed, official campaign finance and expense limits apply, and third-party restrictions take effect. The premier making the request is Christine Fréchette. The spelling corrects a transcript that rendered it as Christine Frechette, leader of the coalition Avenir Quebec and 33rd premier. She succeeded François Legault, who led the CAQ since 2018. Frechette won the CAQ leadership April 12, 2026, was sworn April 15 and formed her ministry April 21. First elected in 2022 as MNA for Saint-Jeannotte, she is running in her hometown of Trois-Rivières, a seat previously held by outgoing CAQ MNA Jean Boulet. The lieutenant governor she meets is Manon Jeannotte, in office since January 25, 2024, who signs the decrees and states the purpose is for Quebecers to exercise their right to vote. At dissolution, the assembly stood at approximately 79 for the CAQ, 18 Liberals, 11 Quebec Solidaire, 7 for the Parti Québécois, 1 Conservative and 9 Independents. That map reflects the strong CAQ majority from 2022. Since then, CAQ support collapsed under Legault, while the PQ, despite only 7 seats, has led popular vote polls for roughly 3 years and won successive by-elections. Frechette is campaigning on stability and renewal to recover ground. The days before the writ were volatile. The withdrawal cited as intense pre-election activity centers on Vincent Marisol, former Quebec Solidaire member for Rosemont sitting as an independent, announced as the Parti Québécois candidate in Taschereau, and withdrawn 2 days later on August 26 by PQ leader Paul St-Pierre Plamondon. The reason given was an ethics breach involving a Quebec City apartment funded by the National Assembly housing allowance used on a home exchange platform to obtain free accommodation abroad. No cash changed hands, but the personal benefit from a publicly funded allowance violated the party's strict ethics code, with a replacement expected Thursday. Liberals saw parallel withdrawals, including Etienne Pino-Saindon in Rimouski, announced August 27th, and earlier Louis-Éric Savoie in Matane Matapedia-Mitis, while the KAQ issued heavy pre-writ spending announcements. The trade war dominates. The recent breakdown in Canada-US negotiations, US tariffs of 50% on substantial Canadian goods and Canadian reciprocal measures have left Quebec deeply exposed through manufacturing, aluminum, and supply chains, with direct pressure on jobs and prices. That feeds a wider test of economic stability and predictability alongside cost of living, healthcare strains, and protection of language and culture. After 8 years of CAQ government, mostly under Legault, voters weigh whether to continue under a new leader pitching a new vibe and renewal. Sovereignty is back in the frame because the PQ has led polling and promises a referendum in a first mandate, but would delay it until after President Trump leaves office in 2029. Opponents include Liberal leader Charles Milliard and Conservative leader Éric Duhaime. 39 days is not arbitrary. Quebec's fixed date law passed in 2013 sets a general election for the first Monday of October in the 4th calendar year following the year that contained the last day of the previous legislature. In this cycle, that is October 5, 2026. The Election Act requires a campaign between 33 and 39 days, and ideally the writ by August 29th, with the Westminster Convention preserving the Lieutenant Governor's discretion to dissolve earlier on the Premier's advice. This call uses the maximum, landing exactly on the latest possible date. What happens Thursday morning determines whether the calendar holds. If Jeannotte signs at 10:30, the 39-day clock is locked, writs go to returning officers, and October 5 becomes formal rather than reported. Outstanding are the precise minutes of the meeting, the signed decree text, the full slate of replacement candidates in Taschereau and elsewhere, and how expense limits and the tariff debate shape the first week of a campaign that now has nowhere to hide from the fixed date. Like and follow for more stories that matter.